Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing great. As you've requested me regarding proficiency in your speaking skill within a short period, so I have arranged only 30 questions for you. These questions cover almost 70 to 80% of the speaking portion that is valuable for art students and also for the beginners who want to improve their speaking fluency, because most of the time students know the structure of the sentences and grammar but are unable to make more sentences while speaking. So this series is based on practical strategies with 30 authentic formulas that are very helpful and useful in your day-to-day communication as well, and for specifically for the IELTS exam. So let's start with our first question. The question is about your preference. Do you prefer X to Y? And it is often asked by the IELTS examiner regarding your preference of particular things and objects. And it is also significant for your daily communication while talking with your friends, family members, and colleagues. And in this lesson, you will master the formula for talking about your preferences. And in this lesson, you will able to communicate while talking about your preferences. So let's see what type of questions we have. Do you prefer writing letters and sending emails? Do you prefer talking on the phone or chatting online? Do you prefer to travel by bike or on foot? When someone asks you such type of a questions, do you prefer this or that? So what would be the language steps to answer such type of a questions? Before moving further, I just want to briefly explain everything in Hindi and Urdu because many of my students are beginners. अच्छा स्टूडेंट्स, ये 30 क्वेश्चंस की एक सीरीज है और अगर आप ये 30 क्वेश्चंस का प्रैक्टिस कर लेते हो, अच्छे से अंडरस्टैंड कर लेते हो स्टेप बाय स्टेप, तो आपका आइल्स का ऑलमोस्ट 70 टू 80% पोर्शन कवर होता है। और ये सिर्फ आइल्स के लिए नहीं बल्कि उन लोगों के लिए भी है, उन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी है जो लोग तो राइटिंग कर लेते हैं, जो लोग लिसनिंग कर लेते हैं, रीडिंग कर लेते हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है कि स्पीकिंग को कैसे स्ट्रक्चर को मेंटेन करें। अगर कोई आइडिया है या कोई टॉपिक है जिस पे बात हो रही है, तो वो 1-2 सेंटेंसेस ही बोल पाते हैं। उसके बाद उनको समझ नहीं आती कि नेक्स्ट सेंटेंस को कैसे आगे एक्सप्लेन करें। तो अगर आप इसका स्ट्रक्चर समझ आते हो, ये 30 क्वेश्चंस को, ये 30 क्वेश्चंस को अंडरस्टैंड कर लेते हो और इसके स्ट्रक्चर को समझ आते हो, तो आप इसके अलावा बहुत सारे बल्कि ऑलमोस्ट जितने भी टॉपिक्स पे बात होगी, आपको पता होगा कि ये पैटर्न है, ये स्ट्रक्चर है और इस पे ऐसे बात करनी है। तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सीरीज है। अगर एक हफ्ते में भी आप इस 30 क्वेश्चंस को कवर कर लेते हो या एक दिन में भी ये 30 क्वेश्चंस समझ आते हो बट प्रैक्टिस करते हो, तो विद इन 1 वीक you will see the improvements. Now let's see how to answer questions and understand the answer order. Answer order हमारे पास है, first of all, when you have such type of a questions, do you prefer this or that? Do you prefer this to this? So first of all, you need to state your preference. You state your, which one is your preferences, okay? And then you need to compare. And after that, you have to give the proper reasons with proper explanation. First of all, let's understand that how we can arrange our answer order. First of all, you need to understand how to use prefer in your answer structure. So, यहाँ पे हमारे पास फॉर्मूला है, I prefer walking, I prefer to walk. दो इसके यूजेज हैं। फर्स्ट में आप prefer को यूज कर सकते हैं verb के साथ, but you need to put ing with the verb. And second में you can use it with to. I prefer to. When you are putting to with the prefer, then no need to put ing with the verb. So दो इसके यूजेज आपको जहन में रखने हैं कि ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। prefer अगर सिंपल यूज कर रहे हो, I prefer, सिंगल यूज कर रहे हो, then you need to put ing with the verb. बट अगर प्रेफर के साथ टू यूज कर रहे हो तो फिर उसमें आईएनजी वर्ब के साथ लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है। आई प्रेफर टू वर्क, दोनों की मीनिंग सेम है, दोनों एग्जैक्ट सेम मीनिंग दे रहे हैं, बट यूजेज का डिफरेंट है कि आई प्रेफर वॉकिंग, आई प्रेफर टू वॉक, बोथ आर गिविंग द सेम मीनिंग। फर्दर इसको थोड़ा और इसके इलैबोरेशन को समझ आते हैं कि उसको कैसे हम यूज कर सकते हैं। आई प्रेफर साइकिलिंग टू टेकिंग द बस। पहले हमने समझ लिया एक स्ट्रक्चर है कि आई प्रेफर साइकिलिंग एंड आई प्रेफर टू साइकिल। हमने दो स्ट्रक्चर्स को समझ लिया कि उसको आईएनजी के साथ भी यूज कर सकते हैं, और जब हमें आईएनजी के बगैर यूज करना है तो तब टू लगाना है। लेकिन जब हम लोग कंपेयर कर रहे होते हैं, जब दो चीजों को हम लोग कंपेयर कर रहे होते हैं, अगर क्वेश्चन हमसे पूछा गया है डू यू प्रेफर साइकिलिंग और टेकिंग द बस, तो व्हाट वुड बी द आंसर? आई प्रेफर साइकिलिंग टू टेकिंग द बस। और यहाँ पे फर्स्ट में ये चीज आपने देखें कि आप इसके साथ जब वर्ब के साथ आईएनजी यूज कर रहे हैं तो आप टू भी यूज कर सकते हैं और रादर देन भी यूज कर सकते हैं। आई प्रेफर साइकिलिंग टू टेकिंग द बस, और यू कैन यूज आई प्रेफर साइकिलिंग रादर देन टेकिंग द bus. Both are correct. And second, if somebody asks you, do you prefer eating or cooking? You can use I prefer eating to cooking. Third example is I prefer baking cakes at home rather than buying them in shops. I prefer reading a newspaper rather than watching TV. Second, इसका important ये भी point है, when you are using prefer with to, then you already know that you no need to put ing with the verb. So when you are using to, just only use rather than. Here you cannot use another to with this. I prefer to cycle rather than take the bus. Before that, I prefer cycling to taking the bus. Both are same and giving the same meaning. But when you are using prefer with to, only use rather than. Here we have some vocabulary words, so you can practice these words while talking about your preferences. Convenient, actually, get stuck, traffic jam, means of transport, smiley, online, sociable. So these are a few native speaker words you can use while talking about your preferences. Now let's understand more deeply with examples. As you already know that the structure, the answer order, first of all, when someone asks you regarding your preference, do you prefer to travel by bike or by bus? So the answer order is, first of all, you need to state your preference first. In a first sentence, you need to state your preference, then you need to compare, and after that, you need to elaborate your answer with logical examples or with specific example. Do you prefer to travel by bike or by bus? I prefer cycling to traveling by bus. Here you understand. I prefer cycling to traveling by bus. You are stating your preference. I prefer cycling. साइकिलिंग की बजाय आई प्रेफर साइकिलिंग, साइकिलिंग में ज्यादा प्रेफर करता हूँ ट्रैवलिंग बाय बस की बजाय। ठीक है, यहाँ से आप ऑलरेडी अंडरस्टैंड कर लिए। उसके बाद हम लोगों का सेकंड आंसर ऑर्डर क्या है, यू नीड टू कंपेयर कि भाई क्यों साइकिलिंग ही ज्यादा आप प्रेफर करते हो। आई प्रेफर साइकिलिंग, मैं साइकिलिंग को प्रेफर करता हूँ टू ट्रैवलिंग बाय बस। तो साइकिलिंग इज सो मच मोर कन्वीनियंट देन टेकिंग द बस। तो यहाँ पे आप थोड़ा उसको कंपेयर करो कि वो ज्यादा कन्वीनियंट है। If you are not traveling too far, cycling is much more convenient than taking the bus if you are not traveling too far. अब further उसका third हमारा क्या step है, you need to elaborate with your example, with specific example or logical example. Actually, it's often faster to go by bike because you don't get stuck in traffic jam. It's you, not your. Cycling is also better for my health than all other means of transport, including buses. So here is the structure. If you already understand, if someone asks me regarding my preference, that do you prefer this to this? So first of all, you need to state your preference. And after that, you need to compare both. And further, you need to elaborate that why you are preferring this your preference, this thing. For example, you are preferring cycling, so why you are preferring cycling? So cycling is also better for my health than all other means of transport, including buses. So further example, do you prefer chatting online or talking on the phone? Generally, I prefer chatting online. I nearly always find that chatting online can be more sociable as you can speak more than one person at the same time. Also, chatting online is often much more fun because you can send smileys, photos, and even videos. You see, first of all, you stated your preference. I prefer chatting online, and I nearly always find that then you are giving the comparison, and after that, elaborating with example. Okay, you can send the smileys, photos, and even videos. The further step, first language step was how to use prefer, and then how you can comparison. Prefer आपने समझ लिया कि उसको कैसे preference को बताना है, और अब जब कंपैरिजन आ रहा है उसका जो सेकंड स्टेप है कंपैरिजन एंड एग्जाम्पल्स को कैसे आपने इलेबोरेट करना है, कैसे सेंटेंस स्ट्रक्चर को लेके आना है, तो उसको हम थोड़ा और अंडरस्टैंड कर लेते हैं। प्रेफरेंस में हम ये समझ रहे थे ना, आई प्रेफर we can use with the form of verb with usage of ing, with the addition of ing, and the prefer we use with do, then no need to put ing. Further we were comparing, so here we comparison. For the comparison, you can use the comparative of an adjective. So you can add er, IER, and more. For example, your comparison cycling is more cheaper than buying a bus. So you can use cheaper. If the adjective is one syllable, so you can use ER. One syllable mean cheap. It's only giving the one syllable. Large, you can use ER. Fast, faster. Slow, slower. And if the adjective has a two syllables and ends in Y, so you can skip the Y and use IER instead of Y. And if it is two or more syllable, you can use more. Further, we understand with examples. Cycling is so much more convenient. Here you can see you're elaborating your answer and comparison, giving it comparing it in a both side, that it is more convenient than taking the bus if you are not traveling too far. Actually, it's often faster to go by bike because you don't get stuck in traffic jams. Cycling is also better for my health than all other means of transport, including buses. So you see that how you can use the comparatives of adjectives while comparing your ideas. Further, we have the adjectives who has the, irregular forms, that good, better, you can also use. For emphasize the comparative, you can add much more, you can use much more. When you compare one thing to another thing, you should use one of the following comparative structures. For example, you are talking about watching TV and listening to the radio. So if you are comparison, so how you can use then, and you can use not as. For example, watching TV is more interesting than listening to the radio. Cars are prettier than buses. So these are you can use while comparing. You are compare X and Y. So you can use watching TV is more interesting than listening to the radio. This is your another sentence. Before that, you have already state your preference, and then you are comparing. This is the second part of the your sentence structure, the answer order. So cars are prettier than buses. And the second structure is you can use listening to the radio is not as interesting as watching TV. So you can switch like this. You can use buses are not as pretty as cars. So these are the structures when you're comparing X and Y. You should use one of the following comparative structures. Here we have exercise. Some of the sentences below are incorrect. Some are correct. Identify the incorrect sentences and write the correct sentences in the spaces provided. So you just need to identify which is incorrect and which is correct, and need to write down the correct answers. Further, we have exercise 2, multiple choice question. Choose the correct answers to complete the sentences below. तो ये एक्सरसाइज आप कंप्लीट करें और मुझे सेंड कर दें. So I'll check and give you the answers. I will mention the answers as well. So students, this is really important. Here we have the most important language points, because those are the discourse marker used by the native speaker. So while practicing, try to use these marker in order to make your speaking style more native-like. And these discourse marker are really important to make your connection between your sentences. क्या होता है कि सेंटेंस हम बोल लेते हैं लेकिन कनेक्शन नहीं बन पाता, और कनेक्शन एक लिंक नहीं बनता, जिससे हमारे आइल्स एग्जाम में भी मार्क्स खराब होते हैं, और कम्युनिकेशन में भी एक वो ऑथेंटिसिटी नहीं आती, फ्लुएंसी नहीं आती. तो ये डिस्कोर्स मार्कर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है आपकी लैंग्वेज को प्रोफिशिएंट और फ्लुएंट बनाने के लिए. अगर आप इसका यूज़ करते हैं तो आपकी लैंग्वेज स्टाइल में भी इम्प्रूवमेंट आएगी. पहला हमारा है एक्चुअली, इनफैक्ट. इट इज़ एक्चुअली, देखिए इट इज़ एक्चुअली अगर आप यूज़ करते हैं तो इसे और इसमें इलेबोरेशन होती है. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हम शुरू में देखें, साइक्लिंग इज सो मच मोर कन्वीनियंट देन टेकिंग द बस if you are not traveling too far. Actually now it's making a connection with the previous sentence. Actually पिछले sentence से connection बना. Actually it's often faster to go by bike. और ये आपका इनफॉर्मल लैंग्वेज में आप ऐसे इसको यूज करते हैं, क्योंकि स्पीकिंग के अंदर डिस्कोर्स मार्कर यूज करना जरूरी है. हम लोग लर्निंग कर लेते हैं लेकिन हम लोग रिटन वाली ही लैंग्वेज स्पीकिंग में बोलते हैं. तो डिस्कोर्स मार्कर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं आपकी फ्लुएंसी में और आपके एक्सप्रेशन को और अच्छा करने. पहला है हमारे पास एक्चुअली यूज करें या फिर इनफैक्ट यूज करें. इट इज एक्चुअली अ लॉट चीपर टू गो टू द सुपरमार्केट. In fact, public buses are a lot more environmentally friendly than many people think. सेकंड क्या है, नीडलेस टू से. ये भी बहुत ज्यादा यूज होता है, नेटिव स्पीकर बहुत यूज करते हैं. इसका मतलब है ऑब्वियसली या ऑब्वियस. आई लाइक ईटिंग लॉट्स ऑफ केक्स बट नीडलेस टू से दैट विल मेक मी फैट. आई लाइक ईटिंग लॉट्स ऑफ केक्स, ऑब्वियसली दैट विल मेक मी फैट. इसका ये मतलब बनता है. He's done very badly in his exams, so needless to say, he won't get into university this year. Obviously, he won't get into university this year. Also, in addition, you can sometime ये रहता है हमारे पास सिर्फ also ही हमें पता है, so you can use in addition as well. I'm a very sociable person. I prefer team sports such as basketball and football, and in addition, it means also I like going to English club with my friends. I prefer cycling rather than driving a car because it helps me keep fit. In addition, so here you can use in addition to making connection between your sentences. It's better for environment and it's also cheaper. Besides is also another really important discourse marker. Besides watching TV and talking to my friends, I can relax while traveling on the subway. I like riding a bike and it's a very convenient way to travel. Besides, it's cheap and I can't afford a car. So these are 4 really important discourse markers. Try to use while communication. I hope this really helped you a lot. And this is the exercise. Write the words and expressions below in the correct spaces. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just fill these exercises and send back to me. So I'll share the answers as well. Okay, students, if you have any questions, you can email me or you can text me. So I'll let you know. Thank you so much.